Hey everyone, welcome to the Higher Alignment Podcast. I'm your host, Minh-Thu, and I'm an executive coach focused on helping people heal their burnout and reconnect to their purpose through self-mastery. I show executives and high performers how to identify their blind spots and use this to propel them on their journey to finding more fulfillment and freedom without burning out. If you've been feeling lost and disconnected in life, book a complimentary connection call to discuss how we can get you back on the path of self-mastery and living a life that feels successful on your terms. Go to higheralignmentconsulting.com/program to book your call, and we'll see you on the other side. So I want to talk about this concept of emotional intelligence. Sorry, guys, my mouth is a little dry, but I should have had some water before this. Emotional intelligence. I want to talk about this topic because this is obviously something that comes up a lot in the corporate world, in leadership positions as business owners, right? Because obviously, when you're leading groups of people, your emotional intelligence has to be in a high place, or at least above everybody else, if you want to lead even somewhat effectively. Okay. But it's interesting because I saw someone make this post and they said that the top 5% obviously have a high IQ. But if you look at the top 1%, what makes them stand out differently from the 5% is they may not even necessarily score that high IQ wise, but they score extremely high when it comes to EQ, which is essentially their emotional intelligence versus their cognitive intelligence. Okay. And I thought that was really fascinating because what that tells me is that the better you are with people, the further you get in life. Okay. And I think we can all agree, we know that's what makes the world tick is your ability to connect and create genuine connection and trust and authenticity with people. That's always going to get you way farther than, the facts that you know. And so this concept of emotional intelligence to me is really interesting because, well, let's start with what we think emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is your ability to be aware of what's happening in the room amongst the people. It's your ability to understand where someone's coming from and almost put yourself in their shoes and what they're feeling. Emotional intelligence is to be able to read a room and carry yourself in a way that's going to be received well by everybody else. It's your ability to understand your own emotions, you know what I mean? And know what you're going through. But here's the thing. When it comes to leaders, executives, high performers, I think we get it wrong in one department. And that is your ability to express your emotions, but then not let them dictate your behavior. To feel all the feels, to validate your experience of a situation, but choose to move forward in a healthy manner regardless of how you feel. Okay. And let me go into that a little bit further. All right, if you're a burnt out executive or high performer, chances are you're on a 3 to 4 month cycle of burnout, meaning the first few months you're high energy, productive, and making it happen. And then once that third or fourth month sets in, you're exhausted, irritable, snappy, and ready to give it all up. Now, there are two main reasons you get stuck in this cycle that no one talks about when it comes to stress management information out there. So I've put this together in a short video called The Real Reason You're Burnt Out. I put it in the show note links, so take 12 minutes to watch this video and let this be the first step to you getting off this hamster wheel of burnout. All right, guys, back to the episode. So when I worked at a different place before, I had a particular boss who was very animated when he was upset. When he was good, he was great. He was making everyone laugh. And when he wasn't, it could get pretty uncomfortable at times. Let's just say that. And I remember one day walking into the office and seeing him unload on someone. And I thought to myself, you will never, ever see me that emotional at work. No one will ever see me get to that point. Because to me, that was a sign of weakness. And that wasn't the right thought process. But to me, that's what I thought it was, is if you see me get that emotional, if you see me lose my cool to that point, I will never let that happen, right? And again, I wore that like a badge of honor because I never lost my cool. I would get frustrated at times, but not like that. But in hindsight, what I realized is that exact thought process was actually suppressing the majority of what I would call, or what we would maybe refer to as negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions. So anytime I felt hurt or sad or angry, I would suppress that for the fact that I didn't want anyone to see it, because I thought that gave me an upper hand, or I thought that made me look strong. But what I realized is all I was doing was hurting myself in the process by not allowing myself to have the full experience of the moment, whatever that may have been for me. Okay. And we all know how detrimental suppressing your emotions is. I refer this to this podcast time and time again. And it's the podcast with Mel Robbins and Gabor Mate, world-renowned psychologist. And Gabor Mate talks about how when it comes to autoimmune disease, which is essentially your body attacking itself and breaking down, the majority of people who experience autoimmune or get diagnosed with it are women. And it's not because they're women. It's because women are the main group that suppress their emotions, identify with the role of caretaker above all else, and aren't quick or comfortable voicing their truth. They often suppress their truth. And it's those tendencies and those behaviors that actually lead to autoimmune disease. It's not because they're women, it's because of that. So then when I think back to my statement earlier about the fact that like you'll never see me get that way, what I realized was I was spending years and years and years never allowing myself to have the experiences of a lot of moments that frustrated the fuck out of me, made me mad, hurt me, made me sad. I was depriving myself of that purely because I wanted to look strong and composed. Okay. And this is such a thing in the corporate world. This is such a thing in all of the world, but especially in the business world. You never want to look weak. You never want to look like you can't handle it. And like, okay, going back to my example earlier, is there healthier ways that you can express your frustration than like unloading on someone in the office? Like, yeah, there is. Like we can be a little bit, a little bit more maybe softer. That's not even the right word, but just a little bit more like careful in our expression of those emotions. But that doesn't mean we don't express them altogether. Like the healthiest thing, honestly, is to allow yourself to feel the gauntlet of it in the safety of your own space. And then by doing that, you're allowing that energy to at least get processed through the body. And then you free up the space to now move forward without any, guilt or holding on to any resentment or any grudges, anything like that. When we allow ourselves to experience the truth of the moment, whatever that reaction may be, we free ourselves. Okay. Because when that stuff gets stuck in our body, it doesn't go anywhere. Just because you're ignoring it doesn't mean it goes anywhere. You push it down and down and down and down until it turns into something much worse, like autoimmune disease. Okay. So, bringing that back to my original statement of talking about emotional intelligence as a leader, it does not mean you're always composed and you're always cool, calm, and collected. It means that you allow yourself to have the experience of all the emotions and then choose to move forward in a healthy way, right? Like what most leaders do who suppress it, they eventually have a huge blow up, or they fall into alcohol or drugs or some type of coping mechanism to deal with the emotions that they're suppressing. When what you could do is just allow yourself to feel. If you just allow yourself to feel the goddamn emotion and let it work itself through, whether you need to cry or scream into a pillow or vent to a friend who can sit there and hold neutral space for you, if you allowed yourself the space to do that, do you know how much healthier it would be for you? But we've all been programmed to believe that if we let it out, that's unhealthy. Like how backwards. But again, look at the state of most high performing people. Like a lot of them, you, whoever's listening, are relying on things to get you through these things because the cycle of wearing this mask all the time is becoming too much. Whereas like if you just had a healthy practice of releasing, it wouldn't feel as heavy as it does right now. Okay. And that's the key, in my opinion, to a great leader, not a good leader, a great leader, right? We have to remember that the most high performing teams in the world, Navy SEALs, sales teams, whatever the case is, the thing that makes them better than everybody else is trust. And trust is only built on genuine connection, right? The only way you can have real trust with someone is to see them in their most authentic nature, right? And the way you build trust is not by being perfect and polished. It's by letting someone see you have a moment, but then saying, hey, I had a moment and I'm going to come back and work through this anyways. It's by maybe sharing some of your vulnerabilities. Yeah. Last week I was really feeling down in the dumps and I was really having a hard time, but I'm back now. I took care of myself on the weekend and here I am. I'm back. I'm here to work with you. Like, your team is going to trust you so much more if they see you be human, right? Because they go, hey, I've felt that way and he's still showing up. Okay, I can do it too. Hey, she's got a sick family member and she's taking care of herself and she's still showing up. Okay, I can do it too. Right? But if you just pretend you're the Hulk all the time and nothing ever phases you or bothers you, A, people see through that all the time. And B, no one's ever gonna feel like you really got their back or they don't need to have yours, because why do I need to be there for you when you got it all the time? Mr. Perfect, Mrs. Perfect. And by the way, guys, I'm speaking from experience. That was me. Like, like my life has gotten so much better the more vulnerable I've become. A, because it's allowed me to like take this weight off my shoulders and not feel like I have to be perfect and primed and polished everywhere I go. But B, for the fact of how many incredible connections, community, opportunities is brought to me because I've just been authentic and vulnerable with my story. And it's allowed other people to feel seen, heard, and validated. Right. So when it comes to this, this high emotional intelligence, again, A, it's going to get you further than you could ever know. Because the other thing with emotional intelligence is now you can attune to people. Okay. And what attunement or co-regulation, they're a little bit different, but for the sake of this conversation is fine, is that attunement allows you to get on someone's level and speak to them and connect with them in a way where, again, they feel seen, heard, and validated. Okay. But someone can tell whether you're authentically doing that or not. Right. But when you can get on their level, when you can see eye to eye with them, that opens up a whole different level of connection and trust. Right. And, I actually did talk about this last year about how sales teams, your ability to regulate your nervous system and attune with a client will save you so many deals, will have you have so much more repetitive business, will make it easier to close deals purely for the fact that you can make someone feel that. We all know buying is not logical, it's emotional, right? So when you can, as a leader, impart this down onto your team, and then they can now take it to whoever they're connecting with, do you know the power and impact that has on your bottom line, your culture, purely because you're speaking with a high level of emotional intelligence? That, again, if you're sitting at home lying to yourself, telling yourself that things don't bother you, that you aren't hurt, that this shouldn't bother you. That was a big one I was guilty of, is like, oh, it's not a big deal, or I can handle it, so I won't make it a big deal. Like, when you're at home or at work in that cycle and you're constantly devaluing the nature of your feelings and thoughts, like, do you know what damage that does to you long term? And people can sniff that out. Now, that's also not to say that if something bothers you or upsets you or makes you sad, that you just like close up shop and give up. That's also not either. The key, the most powerful people in the world, the strongest soldiers, the people who really make a difference in this world, or who even just like live lives that are authentic and full of love and abundance, are the people who feel the fears, who feel the hurt, who have the tears, and then choose to move forward in faith anyways, right? choose to see beyond the moment, choose to know that their feelings are fleeting. And while it's valid for them to have this experience, it doesn't define the moment, right? Because the other side of that is you let your emotions take over too much, and now you're spinning your tires all the time and you're never taking any step forward. That's also not good, right? But again, if we're talking high emotional intelligence, like you can navigate any room, you can find a way to connect with any single human being you're with. That comes down to you first. Before you can validate someone else's experience authentically, you need to be able to validate yours. Right? And I was actually talking with a client the other night where she's like, with you, it's easy. She's like, because you listen and you break things down and you help validate what's going on within me. And I said, well, why can't you do that for yourself? And she just kind of stopped. Like that was never even a thought process for her. Like, why can't I do that for myself? But it's because most of us have been taught that, again, vulnerability is weak. And I'm telling you right now, for your quality of life, for your relationships, for your pockets, for your business, for your bank account, vulnerability is not weak. It is the most empowering thing you could ever embrace. But again, just because you're vulnerable and you feel all the feels and you share it doesn't mean you get caught up in that. You feel it, you allow yourself to go through it, and then you inspire people by moving through it anyways. So if you're listening to this, and whether you're just leading yourself or you're leading a family or you're leading a team of people or you're leading hundreds or thousands of people, high emotional intelligence means you allow yourself to feel the very raw feelings of your experience. And then you choose to move forward anyways in a healthy way that's in alignment. We don't suppress, we don't deny, we don't sweep things under the rug. We allow ourselves to have the experience of expressing it in a safe way, in a way that's comfortable for you. You cry all the tears, you detox. That's another thing. Crying, guys, crying is a detox for the body emotionally, okay? First of all, we were designed to cry because it's a reset for the nervous system, right? So when you cry, that means something needs to be released and it allows you to come back into balance once you release that cry. But also it's a detox of the emotions. So just like you go to the gym and you sweat, that's a detox. You wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't sweat. Like, no, you'd be like, yeah, get that stuff out of your system, man. That's toxins don't need to be in there anymore. It's the same thing with the tears. Let them flow. Don't stifle them. Don't stop them. Let them go. Okay. Do them in a way where, yeah, maybe don't sit and cry in your office for five hours or half an hour. I don't know, whatever you need. Don't do it for too long, okay? But like when you get home at night, let yourself have that moment. And because this is what I promise you is if you let yourself have those incremental moments, then when something really big happens and you've been holding things in for so long that your instinct is to react and lose it, that's going to come down. That edge is going to be taken off because you've allowed yourself these moments to release as they come. They don't get built up and then break like a dam. Right? These are what the people who have the most genuine hearts and do incredible things in the world understand. They have to allow themselves to have that moment if they don't want to break down. Because if you decide to not allow yourself to have those moments and still keep moving through the world with this mask, you're going to pay for it in another way. And unfortunately, that's usually with your physical health. So, emotional intelligence, guys. Doesn't mean just being there emotionally for everybody else. The first person you have to start with to have a really, really deep understanding of it is with you. All right, guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of the Higher Alignment Podcast. If you got something out of this episode, I would ask that you please go subscribe and leave the podcast a 5-star review so that it can help find its way to other people who are having a hard time and need support. My mission in life is to help executives realize that you don't need to suffer in silence while still performing at a high level. I want to help free people of the heavy pressure they carry on a day-to-day basis, and having more people listen to this podcast will do just that. So wherever you listen to this, please go leave it a 5-star review, hit subscribe so you never miss another episode, and we'll see you in the next one.